My name is James John. I am music director of the Queen's College Choral Society, and I would like to welcome you to this open rehearsal with our special guest, Tesfa Wondemagegnehu, who's joining us from St. Olaf College in Northfield, Minnesota. If you aren't familiar with the Choral Society, I'd just like to say a few words about us as a group. Let's see, Emily, we need to make sure everyone stays muted so that my picture is on the gallery view. Pardon us out there while we kind of figure this out. Okay. Or speaker view. Okay. All right. So the Queen's College Choral Society was founded in 1941, and we are a town gown group of singers, meaning that we're a combination of students from Queen's College and community members from the New York area. And the group builds a crucial bridge, in my mind, between the college and the community. We're a group usually of about 120 singers. And we meet every Wednesday evening and perform in December, concerts in December and May. Our special guest tonight, as I said, Tesfa Wondemagegnehu, is assistant professor at St. Olaf College in Northfield, Minnesota. He is also an amazing bright light in the choral world. He's a wonderful composer, an amazing singer, and a great conductor. And he is one of the founders of the Justice Choir movement. And on that note, I will turn this evening over to our special guest for an evening with the Justice Choir. Welcome, Tesfa.
Hey, thank you so much for your introduction and your kind words. And it is great to be here tonight. I just got a chance to basically put my 3-year-old daughter, Aida, to bed. She's up with mom right now. I think they're doing a little bit of story time, and I came back downstairs. So you probably have seen my name on the screen, and I got back just in time to start. So it's great being here tonight, and I'm looking forward to singing for justice with y'all. So let's just take a little bit of a roll call. We are gonna have a little bit of an informal choir practice, if you will. This is gonna be a lot of singing. So we need you to be ready to use your outdoor voices. Everybody fully engaged. That support mechanism. I don't know. I think, were you singing a movement from a Requiem? What was that? So yeah,
that was Mozart Requiem. Yeah.
Mozart Requiem. There we go. So channel that core in your sound as you're singing these songs, making sure that you're fully engaged. Don't be shy. You know, I might ask you to sing a few things several times. I'm from Memphis. I'm gonna tell you, in Memphis, we ain't quiet. So if we singing, you come in. Like, I need y'all to go to church tonight. We're not going to church. We're going to church. Can I get an amen, choir? Raise your hands if you're giving me an amen. That's what's up. Here we go. So check it out. A part of this Justice Choir movement, thank you for that. A part of this Justice Choir movement is to basically say, we can get people together to buy into some words. And so I just want to see, just a show of hands right now, how many people were asked to recite the Pledge of Allegiance during grade school? Raise your hands, I'm looking. There's a lot of people. How many people are willing to unmute themselves right now and recite the Pledge of Allegiance and go?
I pledge allegiance to the
flag of the
United
States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible,
Liberty and
justice for all.
justice for all.
Justice for all. Liberty and justice for all.
That's perfect. Because the last words that you kept hearing in that beautiful echo chamber, with liberty and justice for all. And so every one of our Justice Choir events starts with those words. So I now take another roll call. How many people believe all of our siblings should be afforded liberty and justice? Raise your hands if you believe that all of our siblings should be afforded liberty and justice. So what I'm looking at right now is that we're basically at about 100%. So we start with common ground. Is that we believe as a Justice Choir, because now You are a part of the Justice Choir. Anybody who sings in a Justice Choir event is a part of the Justice Choir. You should let people know that. I sang with the Justice Choir. You're now a part of the Justice Choir. That we believe that all of our siblings should be afforded liberty and justice. And so now we're going to sing a song together. I'm going to basically interrupt. James, you're sharing your sound. I'm going to cancel that, just FYI. And I want you to be willing to use your outdoor voices. Can everybody see the screen right now? Liberty and justice for all. Thumbs up if you can see liberty and justice for all. Perfect. So when the chocolate fingers are pointing at me, it's my turn. When the chocolate fingers are pointing at the camera, it's your turn. Deal? Here we go. 1, 2, 3. We are frightened. We are angry. We are rising. We are hopeful. We are peaceful. We are striving. Won't stop fighting. Won't stop marching. Won't stop dreaming. Won't stop loving and proclaiming and believing. Together, our voices are united, louder than hate. We have gathered here. We've had all we can take. The time has come, you will hear our call. We're fighting for liberty and justice for all. Let's try that again. Now, this time I want you to try to change your vocal colors. This is going to be our warm-up song. Change your vocal colors. See if you can make your voices match the words you are singing. So, we are frightened. We are angry. Think about making those intentional changes. Deal? Thumbs up if you're still with me. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. We are frightened. We are angry. We are rising. We are hopeful. We are peaceful. We are striving. We are striving. Won't stop fighting. Won't stop marching. Won't stop dreaming. Won't stop loving and proclaiming and believing. Together. Our voices are united, louder than hate. We have gathered here. We've had all we can take. The time has come, you will hear our call. We're fighting for liberty and justice for all. Liberty and justice for all from the Justice Choir Songbook. Now, it's crucial that we start here because most of the times when we have had these events across the country, we recognize that people come to the table with different political opinions. They are in different points in their lives. But one of the things we found is that most people can get down with the words, we believe that all of our siblings should be afforded liberty and justice. And so this is the part of the music that actually brings us together, that binds us to this larger story, this story of community that people like to talk about. We've heard so much from people like John Lewis and Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and Benjamin Hooks that talk about building the beloved community where heaven comes down into earth. And the kingdom of heaven is represented in the way that we walk on this land. And this is what these civil rights activists dreamed of for many, many years. The beloved community. That requires us to have a universal connection to the idea of liberty and justice for all. Now, I got to tell you, I woke up this morning. Y'all know I live in Minnesota, right? I woke up this morning and I was hopeful. George Floyd was murdered about 40 minutes north of where I'm sitting right now. My absolute favorite barbecue place in the entire Twin Cities is right next door to Sun Foods. It's called Smoke in the Pit. I frequented Smoke in the Pit. Actually, when I left my church job, I asked my church to actually throw my going away party by bringing Smoke in the Pit fried chicken and greens and cornbread and mac and cheese and ribs. And they were like, really? I was like, absolutely. They were like, we want to do like a whole, like, they were talking about doing like a banquet. I was like, no, I want you to support this Black-owned business in South Minneapolis, and you need to bring the good food. People need to know what good food is in Minneapolis. So I have frequented that corner many, many times during my 7+ years here in Minnesota. And last night, as I saw thousands of people flood George Floyd Square, my heart was broken and inspired simultaneously. My heart was broken because George Floyd didn't need to die. George Floyd should still be here for his daughter. But I was inspired to see so many of my siblings, white, Black, standing side by side, hand in hand, singing and celebrating this moment, this small moment of progress that happened yesterday in Minnesota. So I do want to take a moment right now and recognize that that was a step, but there's so much more work we have to do. There's so many more obstacles we have to face. And we need everybody on this Zoom screen to be ready to be activated, to be a part of that larger conversation. So I woke up this morning with justice on my mind. And that brings us to the next song. I want you to raise your hand when you see, oh, I woke up this morning with justice on my mind. So this is as the kids like to say, this is a bop. The kids like to say this is a bop. This one for me is a bop. So it says leader high-low. For Zoom purposes, if the spirit leads you after a few takes of this to sing some of the harmony parts, go for it. But I would love all of you to be leaders in this fight for justice. Let me repeat that. I would love for all of you to be leaders in this fight for justice. I don't want you standing on the sidelines and waiting for somebody to tell you what to do. I would love for all of you on this screen right now to be leaders. So here's our first pitch. It says, oh, I woke up this morning with my mind. Y'all got it? Let's try it. Determined. Nice, determined tempo. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. Oh, I woke up this morning with my mind stayed on justice. Woke up this morning with my mind stayed on justice. Woke up this morning with my mind stayed on justice, singing hope, singing peace, singing justice. Verse 2, y'all, ready, go. I was walking and talking with my mind, stayed on justice. Clap, y'all. Walking and talking with my mind, stayed on justice. Walking and talking with my mind, stayed on justice, sing hope, sing peace, sing justice. Verse 3, y'all ready? 1, 2. I was singing and praying with my mind, stayed on justice, singing and praying with my mind, stayed on justice, singing and praying with my mind, stayed on justice, seeing hope, seeing peace, seeing justice. That one this morning, you know, that one for me was just like, I just imagine that a good old Hammond B3 going on in the background. I grew up at a Greater Middle Baptist Church in Memphis, Tennessee, y'all. Memphis, Tennessee, I would consider one of the most important places in the country during the civil rights era. My senior pastor was Dr. Benjamin Lawson Hooks. If you don't know who that is, he led the NAACP for many years. And he did a lot of marching with King and so many other incredible and important stakeholders during the struggle for Black rights. And Ben Hooks had an incredible music team. His music ministry team at Greater Middle Baptist Church was something else. So my organist was a guy named Reverend Ron. So let me tell you about Reverend Ron. Reverend Ron would come in and eat that Hammond up on Sunday mornings. He'd just go to town. And I was just like, oh my goodness. So I got older and became a music major. And my mom said, I went to church one day. I said, man, Reverend Ron got that magic. She said, do you know who he is? No. So as a boy, I never knew who Reverend Ron was. Reverend Ron was the organist for Al Green for many years. And I was like, what? Of course he eating the organ up on Sunday mornings. If you don't know who Al Green is, y'all need to use the Google machine tonight. Al Green is the real deal, y'all. But I just think about, you know, listening to these songs during my childhood and how they were tied to the civil rights era. And that message will come back many times tonight with a lot of these songs that we are singing. Now, this one here is I think one that we have to say, who is interested in being a part of this journey? Like, we have to ask the question, are you willing to do what it takes? So let me ask people right now, we're still on board. We all believe that liberty and justice should be afforded to 100% of our siblings. We agree on that. But how many of you are willing to leverage something to ensure that all of our siblings are afforded the rights and protection that we have? Raise your hand if you're willing to give something up, to share. Just a show of hands right now. I'm just taking a quick roll call right now. Quick roll call. That's still the vast majority of the screen right now. I appreciate y'all so much for participating. It's the vast majority of this screen. So I'm gonna play you this next song. This is called Sing for Justice. This is a simple one. And it's simple for that reason, to say, sometimes this work to become an advocate for justice is scary. So I'm going to ask the same group of people, how many of y'all have been afraid to step into this justice work because of fear of repercussions, because of fear of conversations? Raise your hand if you've ever fallen in that category where you're afraid to jump in for some reason, afraid to jump in and be a part of it for some reason. And that's normal. So one of the things that we included this song in the Justice Choir songbook and made it extraordinarily accessible is for those people who are afraid to jump in sometimes, is that we need to make it easy to let people know all you have to do is to be willing to lift your voice. So this is our F right here, everybody. All who want peace. I think you know this melody already, right? Thumbs up if you kind of know this melody. Taking a roll call. Thumbs up. There we go. So let's try to sing this together. 1, 2, 3, and go. All who want peace, sing for justice, gather in song. Here we join with friends and strangers, all may belong. You who bring hope, fear, or sorrow, help us sing on you tomorrow. All who want peace, sing for justice, gather in song. Verse 2. If you want peace, sing for justice, join in the call. Justice is love's public story, open to all. Harmony is born of difference, notes and chords of lived experience. If you want peace, sing for justice, join in the call. We who want peace, work for justice, so shall we grow. We will work to see the day when all may be whole. Naming truths while burdens bearing, singing, sharing, learning, caring. We who want peace, work for justice, so shall we grow. I want us to take a few moments just to unpack these words. It says, all who want peace. Then we say, if you want peace, you have to be willing to sing for justice as well. But now you join in the call. Now we are saying we have combined forces, y'all. We who want peace. You were deciding, you made the decision. Now we are a team working together to secure liberty and justice for all of our siblings. We are working towards justice and we're willing to grow. We're working for the day where all may be whole. So when we think about that work, let's talk about that for a second. We think about that work. What are some specific things that you can do in your daily lives in New York? In New York, what are some specific things, small things that can be done? I want to hear from, I want to learn from you, things that you are doing personally to ensure that our siblings are afforded liberty and justice. Talk to me. Anybody?
Teach every child, every teenager, and everyone who will listen these lessons. And the teachers, thank you, Christina. High five, girl. The teachers are doing it. Some of them doing it really, really well, but we've got to teach it from day one. You can't wait till kids are old enough. They get these lessons now and they need them now.
Amen. Thank you for doing that, Christina and Emily. I appreciate both of y'all for raising.
I would also say that I'm going to school to become an elementary school teacher, and we just went through a lesson on diversity in classrooms and how important it is to teach beyond the pages in a textbook, because the textbooks are written in the winner's point of view, and they don't ever take any consideration for any of the other people that are a part of this world. So I think that's really important, and I vow to do that as a teacher.
Thank you for that, Megan. Somebody else, love it. Terry, you got your hand up?
It's important to walk around with a smile on your face instead of a frown. You have to be a little bit trusting. You can't be so suspicious of everybody. You have to give people a chance and be willing to learn.
Thank you for that. Thank you so much. Being willing to trust and learn and grow. I like that. Somebody else.
Pay respect to other people when you pass them. If somebody says hello, say hello.
There you go. Pay respect. Listen. When I grew up, my mama said, when somebody say hey to you, you say hey back. How you doing? Like you don't just walk with your head down, keep your head held high. You speak. Now my mama was born in 47, so my mama was old school. So I appreciate having my mama who grew up as a sharecropper, who just it was a different era. I tell my kids all the time, I say, y'all need that old black mama in your life. Let me tell you. I miss her so much, but I still remember all these lessons that I got from my mama. Oh my goodness. Somebody else.
When I teach with my true, authentic self.
Yes, come on.
I teach and I acknowledge, and I want them to acknowledge that I'm an African-American woman in this world, and that I'm here with them. They have something to give me. I have something to give them, and that they see me in all of me, and it's okay. And so that they go out to the world, even if it's just to their sibling or to their parent, and say, I encountered this woman, and wow, she showed me love and respect and gave me a song. And that's, and singing actually with my authentic self, because I'm not a gospel singer. I mean, it's in my heart. So I'm going to teach them every kind of music there is. And
I love
they
it,
can go out to the world and share every kind of music there is.
Mm-hmm.
Not just this music and this music. I'm just so lucky and blessed to be able to do that.
Thank you for sharing that, Karen.
Hey,
Anybody
there
else?
is this, yes, there is this wonderful African adage. It goes, when they carry someone else's corpse, or when it's someone else's death, we feel like, oh, I don't care, it's not happening to me, until the day they carry your mom's or yours or your family. So what I'm trying to say is being genuinely concerned in every situation. It mustn't happen to you. It mustn't even be about race. It could be about normal life situation. You see someone in the rain, you see someone going through some difficult situation, or like even in this case of George Floyd, the young girl, her filming, even though it wasn't happening to her, helped to show the world what happened. Probably without her being, even as the police officers were asking, hey, get away, scaring her away, she risked her life to film. She could have been framed. She could have been prosecuted, even as an obstruction of justice, but she decided to stay. So being genuinely concerned in every situation, being aware where we are, being constantly aware of what is going on, how to support others, even if it doesn't happen to us. Because if you do that to others, the day it will be yours, God will always bring help to you if you're always there to feel others, even though it's not happening to you directly.
I want to respond to that really quickly, because that's something you said. You said a lot, by the way. That was a whole sermon. I want to celebrate. Everybody snaps for what he just said right there. I want to read the original reports from the George Floyd arrest. It says that Floyd physically resisted the officers. They cuffed him and noted that he appeared to be suffering medical distress. Officers called for an ambulance. He was transported to Hennepin County Medical Center by ambulance, where he died a short time later. Now, you and everybody on this screen knows that medical distress was caused by a knee on the neck for over 9 minutes. But the fact that the original report didn't mention any of that, but the fact that that young lady had the courage to accept the trauma that she was receiving. We have to acknowledge that, y'all. To accept the trauma that she was receiving as she was videotaping one of her siblings being murdered in the middle of the street in broad daylight. The courage of that young woman. That is powerful, what you just said. And I want to bring some scholarship to it, y'all. If you're not familiar with this book, there's an incredible book that was written by Isabel Wilkerson called Caste, The Origins of Our Discontents. And what you just said when you were talking about this saying that goes similarly to what Isabel Wilkerson said here in chapter 12. She says, a scapegoat is seen by definition as expendable. People can come to disregard the predicaments facing people deemed beneath them, seeing their misfortunes as having no bearing on their own lives, seeing whatever is happening to them as, say, a Black problem rather than a human problem, unwittingly endangering everyone. Is that if we can't recognize that these issues are human issues, this is why I use the word sibling intentionally. No one is excluded. If we think of everybody who walks this land as our sibling, if we bring that type of care and love and inclusion and attention to all of our siblings, I think there's something magical that can be said. In 2019, Chorus America released this data, y'all. There are over 54 million people singing in choirs, y'all. Did y'all know that? Could you imagine if all 54 million people just activated one day? Just imagine that they were sleeper cells and then they activated and decided to all take a path towards justice. They all picked up a phone and said, I'm going to call my legislator today. They all wrote an email to a politician. They all basically said, I'm going to deliver some type of mutual aid to communities in need. What if 54 million people decided to do that right now? Y'all, I'm inspired by that possibility. I don't know how you can be singing in a choir and not be inspired that you around people who right now, so far, we've been in agreement. We want to secure liberty and justice for all of our siblings. That to me is totally inspiring. And I think that that brings us to, I lift my voice. You know, being willing to lift our voices sometimes when it's hard. Being willing to take that bold step. Raise your hand if you can see the song on the screen. So I'm gonna give us a nice little C natural. When I lift my voice. Y'all ready? Ready and go. When I lift my voice, let it be in song, a defiant note in the face of wrong. I don't stand alone, we'll stand side by side, 'cause we know that love is always justified. When they try to divide us, it will only unite us. I lift my voice. Go. When I lift my voice, let it be for good. Let me care as much as I know I should. I won't stand alone, we'll stand side by side, 'cause we know that love is always justified. When they try to divide us, it will only unite us. I lift my voice. That last bit, when they try to divide us, it will only unite us. That's from Andrea Ramsey. If you don't know that composer, Andrea is a Kansas City-based composer, has written a lot of, I think, very important music for our bookshelves for years to come. I know schools will be singing her music probably as long as I'm alive. James and Emily, do you agree with that statement? Yep, they're sending thumbs up and head nods. It's like, but we know that there are people who are willing to try to divide us from the goal. They're going to basically find this, what we call a wedge issue, and stick that wedge in shoe in and say, oh, well, I can't completely get on board with this because you said this. And there's a rapper that I do a lot of collaborations with, and she has something to say to my music and social justice class that kind of blew my mind. She said, there is no person or no movement that has ever been unimpeachably crafted. There is no person or movement that has ever been unimpeachably crafted. We have to recognize Dessa's words are so powerful. Is that sometimes we look for perfection, and we have to recognize that this work is messy quite often. It's hard, it's messy, it's complicated. Somebody might say something that offends you or sets you off in the wrong direction. The thing that I hope that you would be willing to do is to dig and investigate and figure out what led to that happening. Is there something that we might be missing? Is there a way that we can dig into that and figure out what that is? And that's really, really crucial as we do this type of this justice work, this work that we say that we're passionate about. We have to make sure that we're willing to do it. We're willing to be bold and put one foot in front of the other. We have to be willing to lead with love. We have to be willing to lead with grace. We have to be willing to lead with this radical idea and imagination of inclusion. And that sometimes happens just by us putting one foot in front of the other. Now, raise your hand if you can see one foot lead with love right now. Now, I'm going to tell you, I'm a tenor, and it's 7:36 in my time. I don't have low A natural, as sure as my God sits up high and looks down low. A natural not in the cards tonight, y'all. It ain't going to happen. So I'm going to have to change that to C minor. You got to put one foot. Y'all got that? Y'all got that? All right, that's what's up. Now, when the Spirit leads you to sing with me, I'm going to repeat it a few times. Just join in. This is super easy one. Again, when the chocolate finger's pointing at me, it's my turn. When the chocolate finger's pointing at the camera, it's your turn. Here we go. You got to put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. You got to put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. You got to put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. You got to put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Don't give up hope. Don't give up hope. You're not alone. Don't you give up. Don't you give up. Keep moving on. Keep moving on. You got to put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. You got to put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. I know you're scared. I know you're scared. And I'm scared too. And I'm scared too. But here I am. But here I am. Right next to you. Right next to you. You got to put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. You got to put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. 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 Harmonize. And lead with love. Harmonize with me. And lead with love. Build it up. And lead with love. Build it up. Build it up. And lead with. Build it up. Build it up. And lead with love. And lead with love. Last time. And lead with love. Hold that note. Hold it. Unmute yourself. Unmute yourselves. Unmute yourselves. And release. Hey, I heard the choir sing tonight. Amen. That was awesome to be able to hear y'all sing that beautiful C minor chord right there. Thank you for that. Go ahead and mute yourselves again. I appreciate you. I want to take a moment to share this quote. Hopefully this inspires you really quickly. What is activism, y'all? Raise your hands if you can see what is activism. Awesome. For some people, activism looks like engaging in your school. For others, it's running blogs, social media pages, talking about your personal story. Are often looked by issues often overlooked by a colonized society. For others, it's mobilizing in the streets and knocking on the doors of elected officials. You don't have to choose only one way of affecting change. And you don't have to feel pressure that the first thing you try is going to be what you're stuck with. This is a book that I use when I do a lot of these workshops for young students when it comes to them becoming young activists. But I think it works for adults as well. Is that from the fear of doing something wrong, we're often not willing to take that first step. That first step is always the scariest step because you have to put yourself out there for judging. You have to be willing for people to say, wait a minute, that's not the way it's supposed to go. And people are afraid of that. We have to acknowledge that people are afraid of that. But I know for a fact that at least from the roll calls that I've taken tonight, everybody on this screen is willing to risk something to ensure all of our siblings are afforded liberty and justice. Is that still the case? That's awesome. So I think this is important for us to sing this song. Basically, I Lift My Voice. Andrea was inspired to write that when she came across some writings from the Johnson brothers. You got James Weldon Johnson and John Rosamond Johnson. Those names might be familiar to you because they collaborated on Lift Every Voice and Sing. Lift Every Voice and Sing was premiered by a school choir in Jacksonville at the early 20th century, right around that era, late 19th century, early 20th century. And then was actually later, probably about 15 years later, the NAACP coined the term the Negro National Anthem. Now, Lift Every Voice and Sing to me is, you know, I am always inspired by a few words. And before we sing it, I just want to share those words with you before we even sing it tonight. Raise your hands if you can see Lift Every Voice and Sing. These words right here. It was interesting. I talked to y'all about Reverend Ron in my church. All of a sudden, when we would get to this moment, Reverend Ron would just go blank. All of a sudden, the church was singing these lines a cappella. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. And always, that shook me right there. I never really understood why. I still don't necessarily understand why. But to me, I put it in my mind. I've created this story. That there is a bit of, I would say, trepidation here. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. And then this right here, we can start to imagine that future harmonically. Sing a song, newness, full of the hope that the present has, boom, right at brought us. We find that harmonic structure again. And all of a sudden on that D7 chord, Reverend Ron will be running up and down the Hammond. Brought us. And let me tell you, in my church, that fermata was the longest damn fermata I've ever sung in my life. That fermata went on for days because people that went in at that moment, brought us. It was like, we have arrived. But this is the part right here, y'all. Let us, that unite in front of us, let us march on till victory is won. So as you sing these words tonight, I want you to reflect on what victory can be for all of our siblings in this country. What does victory look like to you? And how are you willing to make it happen? Now, I've been talking to you about Reverend Ron. I got a friend of mine down in New Orleans to basically record himself playing the Hammond B3. Now, I will tell you, it's not Reverend Ron. It's definitely not Reverend Ron, but you know what? It's pretty good. So I'm going to play you the audio of that Hammond B3 as we sing Lift Every Voice and Sing together. Comes in on verse 3. Everybody stand up. verse 2. The road we trod, bitter the chasing rod, fought in the days when hope unborn had died, yet with a steady beat, have not our weary feet come to the place which our fathers sighed. We have come over that with tears has been watered. We have come treading our path through the blood of the slaughtered. Out from the blue we passed, till now we stand at rest, where the light beam of bright star is cast. Here we go, y'all. God of God of our silence, thou who hast brought us thus far, thou who hast by thy might led us right, keep us forever in thy way. Rest our feet, places God waiting. Rest our heart, drunk with the wine of the world we shadowed by thy hand, forever stand true to our God, true to Lift every voice and sing. James Weldon Johnson, John Rosamond Johnson. I never get tired of singing that song. I never get tired of singing that song. I want to share one last quote with you before we get out of here. You as a singer, poet, writer, dancer, songwriter, musician, painter, cartoon artist, graffiti artist, have a powerful tool in your hands to change the world. Every major justice movement has had an art component that helped drive the cause forward, motivate, and give hope to the activists fighting for it, and bring those outside the movement into it. All of us on this screen have something to contribute. Every last one of us. I hope that you can take tonight's Justice Choir Sing as inspiration as you walk in New York tomorrow and the coming weeks, and think about ways that you can be directly involved in your community, bring impact and bring love and bring joy to all of our siblings, because we are called to do this work. We're called to be good contributors of society. That's our vocation. And I hope that through this gift of music, you are willing to share your vocation with others. And if we do that, and especially if all 54 million of us singing in this country decide to do this, I truly believe that we shall overcome someday. Do, do, if you want to sing it in 4-part harmony. We Let's try it. 1, 2, 3, and sing. Ooh. We shall overcome. We shall overcome. We shall overcome someday. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe. We shall overcome someday. We shall overcome, y'all. It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. I want to open the floor up for questions, for thoughts, for reflections, for anything. Let these last 7 minutes be a safe space where all of us can share and really connect and be a part of this journey as activists and community contributors together. Just unmute yourselves and go.
I just wanted to say thank you for just being, as a choir teacher for young students myself, I find myself needing resources, places to find pieces like these that just speak to this justice that needs to be taught in all areas of New York, in all areas of the world, really. But just thank you for just making it possible, putting it in a place that we can all go to and just have this forum to just be here. So
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you for the affirmation and thank you for your kind words. Anybody else? Any thoughts? Nothing? I was about to say somebody got to have something, right?
Walter,
I was gonna.
Walter, I think you have to unmute. Maybe Walter, I still can't hear you. You could type your question in the chat, maybe.
While Walter's typing, I'm putting a link in. Some people were asking me at some of these events if I'd be willing to share the songbook. Everybody, if you click over on the side, I've just given you a Google link to the entire songbook. This is actually the only version of this that exists, where all 41 songs. This is the original print. So you got the original Justice Choir Songbook edition right there. So if you just click over there, you can download that. It's yours. It's free of charge. You can sing it whenever you want to. There's no cost ever. We just want people to use it as a resource. Just take it and sing it.
Tesfa, is it okay with you if I put that in the streaming as well?
Oh, absolutely.
Thanks.
I'll add something. Can you guys hear me? So Tesfa, hi, thank you so much. This was beautiful. I work with a lot of activists in a nonprofit organization, but it's very intense. And it was wonderful to bring some art and song to this work, because it's sometimes we just forget that it can be beautiful as well. So thank you.
Thank you for sharing that, Sarah. But you're right. I mean, it's like,
I'm back, and I think you can hear me now. I just wanted to thank Christina for her presence and what she said, but also Tesfa for giving us the second and third verse of the Negro National Anthem. I hadn't had the chance to be bowled over by those.
Thank you for sharing that, Walter. And Sarah, I was about to say to you is like, you know, it's, as I talk to friends, it's hard for me because I'm working on a project right now that is that very like tense, like focused into like, we got to get this to happen because people's lives depend on it. And, it's so hard for me to balance that sometimes. I struggle with that because there's a both and. I agree, is that living in the both and, because the time is so finite, is that you don't have time to do both sometimes. So I agree with your words, Sarah, that it's hard, but I appreciate your affirmation.
Can I want to say something.
Okay.
Am I muted?
Okay.
Singing We Shall Overcome, just singing it now. I have sung so many times with family and friends, and that there was a point where I didn't want to sing the song anymore because I felt it was useless. I felt like I wasn't inspired to sing it, but especially now with the trial yesterday and seeing what we've gotten, the result of it, because most of the time I wasn't looking at the TV because I didn't have faith in what the decision would be. So this all of this has helped and gives me, hope. That's it.
Thank you.
It gives me hope.
Thank you for sharing those words.
So I was gonna also add that I am also very, very grateful for this particular evening. Also great before I go to Tesfa, but also to a Professor John and Emily for even having the initiative to organize something like this. Because sometimes I keep on thinking, oh, I know some other young people like me would be having this kind of thought. How do you do something that is more significant or more like, and people are thinking for you to be an activist or do something that supports others, you have to be like off the roof, have followers on your YouTube or do something extraordinary. But things like this, simplifying that act, that event like this, like your voice alone, singing makes a lot of difference. Not just when you even compose a special song that the whole world hears or does something so special, but making it as simple as it is. Maybe coming to an evening choir practice and then using that opportunity to talk about things. Some of us may not everyone watch the news, not everyone follow what is happening, but this opportunity is also a moment that help put everyone back into shape, back into what matters, and in a very simple and basic way, and not trying to do something extraordinarily. So I appreciate this. I appreciate that's for what you're doing, especially when the way you made it so simple.
I'd like to thank you for asking the very simple question of what can we do, and I know that there are people out there who are doing their best. They're marching, they're getting their voices out, but here we were introduced to some of the little things that we could do, like just smile at somebody, just be warm and caring, being your true self. It's like little things like that all counts and that all matters.
And oh wait, I've been muted the whole time as I've been thanking people. Oh my goodness, I've been talking to I've been like saying thank. I didn't even realize sorry.
No
So
worries.
whoever I missed, I don't know who I missed. I was saying thank you and responding to everybody. My mouth has been moving. You probably been looking at my mouth moving.
We heard you.
We got it in your
did?
heart.
We
It's
heard
okay.
you.
Okay. But I was gonna say, just imagine if all of a sudden 54 million people decided to take that one step and just smile at somebody and say, I see you and I appreciate you. I appreciate you and you are seen. Like, oh my God. That alone on a daily basis could be game changing. Now, again, I know that when we talk about the systemic issues that we face, obviously, this is not music and singing. This is not going to be all. Like, this is something that Sarah brought up earlier. It's like, there are activists who basically push back on this notion. that, you know, we can't take the tranquilizing drug of believing that this is enough. We have to be willing to dig deeper. But that happens on our own timeline, y'all. We have to be willing to allow grace and space for people to enter this conversation where they are and allow them to move through their journey organically. You know, if that doesn't happen, I think that we run the risk of alienating people. Is that if we want to activate everybody, we have to allow grace and space. I really believe that. I really do. It's a yes and amen, Sarah.
I just wanted to mention one other thing that hasn't been actually specifically mentioned that I just think could really help and go a long way in making it a better world. And that is just to be kind, just kindness. I just see that we just need so much more kindness in this world.
Amen. Yep.
I have another thought, and that is, I'm always aware of invisible people. There are those that are considered invisible, that we just go through our life and don't pay attention to people who affect us and do important jobs, and we just sort of walk past them. And whether it's a person, crossing guard, or someone, I'd been in a hospital and they had a transporter that just moves people from one place to another. And they're people, and they're people who do important things. And I always like to say hello to them and pay attention to them, because they're not invisible. They're real people.
Mm-hmm. Amen. That's real, Lois. They're real people.
I agree with you, Lois. It's empathy. It's empathy for all people.
I love this organic exchange that's happening right there, right now. This is awesome. Normally people are like, oh, it's time to go. I get the vibe that we kicking it tonight. Y'all are like, let's talk. I'm game if y'all game.
And from New Mexico, we will not make believe that things are good when they are not. We will not turn the other cheek and make believe that, you know, we can't make changes, because we can. All of us just doing these pieces can make changes and make it a better world for our children and also for ourselves.
Thank you for sharing it.
Cynthia, that reminded me, you know, I love that, you know, not to acknowledge what's not working and what's working, but to hold a positive focus, you know, different than positive thinking to me is like, you know, denying the reality, you know, maybe, okay, this is happening, but okay, but just, you know, acknowledge and that we can change it. That's such an inspiring thought. Thank you. That inspires me.
And I posted this in chat earlier. This is a poem by Ross Gay, and I just feel like I want to read it if you're open. It's a small needful fact. A small needful fact, Ross Gay, is that Eric Garner worked for some time for the Parks and Rec Horticultural Department, which means perhaps that with his very large hands, perhaps in all likelihood, he put gently into the earth some plants, which most likely some of them, in all likelihood, continue to grow, continue to do what plants do, like house and feed small and necessary creatures, like being pleasant to touch and smell, like converting sunlight into food, like making it easier for us to breathe.
Wow. Emily, will you send me the URL to that poem?
Yeah, I'll just email it to you. It's
Thank you.
Yeah, Ross Gay is the poet.
love that. I'm reading it now. Thank you for just sharing that.
My daughter's been watching you all on YouTube. Been watching us all on YouTube.
Oh, that's awesome. Hey. Hey, daughter.
Hi.
All right. Hey, anybody on here from Long Island? All right, somebody unmute. Can somebody unmute and give me some is it Long Island? My wife is from Long Island.
It's Long Island.
There you go. Megan, talk to me. What you got? What you got?
It's Long Island. Yeah, Long
Guy
Island.
Lombardo.
That's awesome. I go and visit. I go and visit so much, and I'm just like, oh my god, I have the best time with her Long Island family. They are something else. Oh my goodness. They're from Copeg. Do y'all know where that is?
Yeah, I live like 15 minutes away from there.
No way.
Yeah.
Man, every time we go up there, I'm just like, man, this is a trip. This is a trip.
Now, Copeg is the South Shore. I live on the North Shore.
Okay, now I've never been to the North Shore.
Yeah, but it's like, well, whatever. I'm actually really from Chicago. I'm a Chicago Midwesterner who says please and thank you.
Let's see, Tesfa, it's so great since we're online. We have New Mexico, Virginia, way out on Long Island. Do we have any other states anymore? I've lost track.
I'm in Chicago.
Do we have any
Yes, thank you,
Floridians? I'm not sure.
But yeah, we might. But we also, because we're Queens, we're the most diverse county in the country. So we're the UN in Queens. You know?
That's awesome.
Because Queens is the most diverse county, the most languages spoken, and we love our choral society. So mwah, to all of you, thank you, everybody.
I got to tell you, whenever I'm on that campus, I just love it. Oh my God. We come out there usually once a year and kick it out on the campus. And it's just, I don't know, living in Minnesota, I get to Queens and I'm like, home. I know that's crazy to say that, but just to see a lot more people who look like me. Y'all might not get that, but that's a thing, y'all. It's awesome.
Well, you know, I'll share it from my perspective. It seems maybe
Christina says I get it.
I'm going to go out on a limb just because this is, part of this, Tesfa, one thing you inspire in me is just the courage to have these conversations, and so about looking the same, like my heritage is Germanic. So when I went to Germany, I was like, oh my God, I look like everybody here. Like it was really weird. Like for the first time I felt like, whoa, I never knew that I like came from somewhere until like it hit home when I actually visited there. But the other thing, I grew up in the Midwest, and when I come to Queens, I went to Queens College, master's degree. I just felt at home here too, for whatever reason. It just makes me feel comfortable. So thank you for creating this space. I love that space and grace. Thank you for creating this space and grace to allow us to just talk about all of these issues in such a caring, human, empathetic, and inspiring way.
Oh, absolutely. Thank y'all. Well, am I off the hot seat? No more questions for me? No more comments? Yep.
I have a quick question.
Go for it.
Why don't you come back to New York?
Hey, that has to happen. That's happening. I think it's coming in 2022 though. I think it's like fly in. Hold on, I'll tell you. Hold on. I think it's March.
It's 22.
March 30th. March 30th, 2022. Wait, do y'all meet on Wednesday nights? Maybe if I came in earlier that day, I can come hang out on a Wednesday night.
Sure.
That would be wonderful. Has
Jeff actually booked you for that yet?
He
for
did.
The
Yes,
building?
he did. Yeah. So
all right. So that means it's a go. I have to ask that because I don't know. He tells you to hold the dates, but you have to make sure it's a go.
Right. He has the dates. I guess if it happens, pandemically.
One step at a time, but yes.
One step at a time.
I'll take care of it. It's okay.
All right.
Can I ask you one last thing to share with us? Just a little bit about this inspiring piece you're writing. I think people might like to hear that, if you don't mind. Yeah.
This is kind of what Sarah was talking about. I had some activists say to me about the work that I had been doing with Justice Choir. And last summer we had this incredible National Juneteenth Sing where people from all over the country came together and sang Lift Every Voice and Sing. And it was on NPR, American Public Media. We raised thousands of dollars for this racial justice network here in Minneapolis. This was right after George Floyd was killed. And so I was talking to some activist friends down south, and they were like, dude, are you serious? You think this is activism? You need to check yourself. They were like, you need to recognize that while you out here tuning chords and waving your hand, singing for justice, you need to recognize that there are people out here dying, and we're trying to provide them daily services and care so that they can make it one day at a time. And I'm gonna tell you, I took that critique, and I'm still so grateful for that critique, because it really helped me to, I would say, reframe what I do in this work with Justice Choir. It's kind of what everybody said earlier, both and reframe what I do in this type of work, but to build something that I can say that is more. And I didn't know what that was, and I didn't want to presume what that was. So I started talking to stakeholders across the country and realized that it was my time to learn, to be silent, to sit and immerse myself. So I leave on June 1, in the way that people left at the turn of the 20th century to emancipated Black communities to collect narratives. I work for American Public Media, so I work for a media company as well. And they basically went to collect narratives at the turn of the 20th century to hear the stories from these emancipated slaves and to write these stories down in the vernacular. And these narratives still live at the Library of Congress, and you can buy some of them on Amazon if you want. Hopefully you can buy some at a Black-owned bookstore instead of Amazon. That would be awesome. But I've always been intrigued by these stories because so many people believe that we live in a post-racial America, that Barack was elected, racism is dead. Kamala is now the first female Black vice president, racism is dead. But the reality is that it's not. And so I leave on June 1 and I come back on August 1, and I'll be traveling across the country to actually immerse myself in Black communities. I'm starting right around here, and basically go and record narratives from Black communities in Minneapolis, St. Paul, going to Milwaukee, Kenosha, Chicago, Louisville, Cincinnati, Flint, Detroit, Cleveland, Pittsburgh, Philly, New York. I'll be up in Harlem, down to Baltimore, DC, Charlottesville, Richmond, going over to Hampton, moving over to Asheville, Atlanta, going to Charleston, Savannah, Rosewood, Mobile, New Orleans, Jackson, Nanfalai, where my family is from. By the way, I'm a quarter Nigerian. I had no idea until recently. So basically, I was able to track right here, number 27, Nanfalai, Alabama is where my family started. 28, Selma, Montgomery, Birmingham, Nashville, Memphis, Little Rock, Tulsa, St. Louis, Kansas City, Omaha. And I'll go to all those cities, basically immersing myself in the Black community to understand what do they need to repair their environment, working with clergy, working with activists, working with artists, working with musicians, working with politicians to just collect their stories and record their stories to figure out what do they need to repair. And I'll be launching a website called torepair.org. And this website will not be a middleman organization. We don't take donations. It's a direct action organization, meaning you will be able to click their narrative, hear their words, unedited, basically, then distribute it to you and their link saying, this is how you can help. And this is definitely the first step of a multi-year project. I'm thinking at least a decade, because I don't want to one-off these cities. I want to go back to these cities many times and expand cities all across the country. but these words will help inspire a piece of music that I'm writing that's called To Repair, that will be available to choirs free of charge, SSAA, SATB, TTBB, where they can download this songbook, but they have to sign a social contract as a part of a participating choir, saying that they will be willing to interact with these stakeholders in those communities. They have to be willing not to just say, oh, I did this one thing. No. You have to be willing to talk to these organizations, to these stakeholders from the inception level of the idea, the conception level of the idea, the beginning stages, and say, I don't have a project. I just want to collaborate and figure out how to get involved. And so, Sarah, I don't know what organization you particularly work for, but basically this would be like, for these organizations out here who say that they're doing this work, now they would basically go to your organization, if it were a Black organization, and work directly with you. And the hope is that, we can collect narratives for the next decade plus. We can move out west, we can move to Texas. But these stories, I'm willing to bet that, so often I have been a culture bearer for the quote unquote Black community. And I want to push back against it. I'm willing to bet that there are going to be a lot of stories from Black communities across the country, and they're going to differ greatly. So I'm looking forward to this work, and to learning and immersing myself and humbling myself for this. It's a 60-day journey this summer. I leave on June 1, come back August 1. And just the words of every one of these meetings and narratives will inspire the libretto that will then be used for the piece of music that we're singing. So this piece will be premiered in March of 22, and the website and stuff should be running hopefully in late fall of 21.
So inspiring that I can't wait to hear the outcome.
Thank you. Thank you for bringing that up. So hopefully y'all will sing it one day.
I would love it. I can't wait. Well, I think from the bottom of our hearts, we thank you so much for this evening, Tesfa, and we hope to see you. It would be awesome to if you came to one of our rehearsals sometime when we're back live. That would be fabulous. So maybe we'll make that happen. Yeah.
I appreciate you. I appreciate you.
Likewise. All right.
Thank you, Tesfa.
Thank you, Tesfa.
Thank you.
Yay. Wonderful. Thank you for taking the time.
So
really.
grateful.
So
Thank
grateful.
y'all.
Tesfa, I have to tell you, I got to sing Lift Every Voice and Sing with Roland Carter.
No way.
Oh my goodness. And I talked to him like this close, and he wanted to take a picture with me, but I was like, oh, my hair is I have a hat on. And now my friend was like, oh, I'm taking a picture. And I can't believe I did not take a picture with him. It was the most incredible. And he was talking about, the chordal progressions and what the words meant with the chords. And it was heart palpitating. I smiled for days. And the nicest man, just brilliant, can hear every little voice. Oh, you're a little sharp, honey. Just a little flat, honey. Oh my gosh, it was amazing.
Let me tell y'all, if y'all don't know who he is, he has the standard arrangement of Lift Every Voice and Sing.
Yes, it's kind of Lift Every Voice and Scream if you're singing it Sunday morning for church. I gotta tell you. You really do have to warm up before you get to the rehearsal to get ready to sing it. But it's inspiring. It's everything. Yeah, I did. And I'm lucky, man. Lucky me. Thank you very much. I enjoyed this. I'm a choir geek, and this was wonderful.
Hey, thank you.
I'm feeling inspired. I was not feeling as inspired by all the happenings just because I have Black sons and I feel like they're still in danger. But, you got to start somewhere.
Yep.
Got to start somewhere.
Absolutely.
And I think our voices are the voices that take people forward. Historically, it's been song that's led change. So here we are.
Appreciate you.
Thank you. I thank you so much.
Thank you. Appreciate y'all. Be safe, everybody, okay?
Thank you so much, man. Amazingly done.
Thank y'all.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you for
Tesfa.
everything.
Maybe
Awesome evening.
maybe we'll get to sing that song together.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
I hope so. I hope we can do his piece. I think that would be great when it's done. It's such an inspiring idea and concept. It's amazing. And I love it. We got some time to talk too together, which we haven't had.